When most people talk about how expensive Vancouver housing has become, they're almost always using the same yardstick. They look at the price of a home in Canadian dollars today and compare it to what homes sold for decades ago and conclude that real estate has become dramatically more expensive. And on the surface, that feels obvious because the number is much bigger. But what almost nobody stops to ask is whether the yardstick itself has changed. We tend to assume that a dollar is a constant unit of measurement, that it means roughly the same thing today as it did in the past. And if that were true, then rising prices would automatically mean rising real value. But money doesn't work that way. Currency changes over time, its purchasing power shifts, and if you don't account for that, you end up blaming the asset for what is actually a change in the measuring tool itself. So in this video, I want to look at Vancouver housing from a different standard. One that people instinctively understand as a store of value over long periods of time. Instead of measuring housing in Canadian dollars, I want to measure it against gold. Not because this is an argument to buy gold, not because gold is perfect, but because gold gives us a way to step outside the dollar and ask a much cleaner question. How expensive is Vancouver housing relative to something that holds purchasing power over time? Before we get into the numbers, there's one important clarification we need to make so that this comparison is accurate. Gold was not always a free-floating market price asset. Prior to the early 1970s, the price of gold was fixed by governments under the Bretton Woods system. It was artificially capped and did not reflect real supply, demand, inflation, or currency debasement. In other words, gold could not act as a true measuring stick before that system ended. That changed in 1971 when the US ended the dollar's convertibility into gold. Over the following years, as restrictions were lifted and gold ownership became legal again, gold transitioned into an openly traded asset priced by the market. Only from that point forward does gold begin to function as a meaningful long-term reference for purchasing power. That distinction matters because once gold is allowed to trade freely, it starts reflecting what's happening to money itself over time. And when you use it as a reference point, the story about housing looks completely different from the one people are used to hearing. And here's how the comparison works. The math itself is simple. You take the price of a detached home in Vancouver in a given year, and you divide it by the average price of gold in Canadian dollars per ounce in that same year. The result tells you how many ounces of gold it would have taken to buy that home at that point in time. So let's walk through this step by step in the early 1970s. Detached homes in Vancouver were selling for roughly $26,000 to $27,000. At the same time, gold, now beginning to trade more freely, was priced in the high $30 range per ounce in Canadian currency. When you divide the home price by the gold price, you get a result of roughly 700 ounces of gold. That means that in the early 1970s, it took on the order of several hundred ounces of gold to buy a detached home in Vancouver. Now fast forward to the year 2000. By then, Vancouver home prices had risen substantially in dollar terms. Detached homes were selling for roughly $340,000. Gold, meanwhile, had also increased in price, trading in the low 400s per ounce in Canadian dollars. When you run that same calculation, it took closer to 800 ounces of gold to buy that same type of home. So by the year 2000, housing in Vancouver had actually become more expensive when measured in gold than it was in the early 1970s. Now let's bring this comparison to the present. Today, the benchmark detached home price in Vancouver is close to $1.9 million. On the surface, that number looks extreme compared to the past, but gold is no longer priced in the tens or hundreds of dollars per ounce. Today, gold trades around $5,000 per ounce in Canadian currency, and when you divide today's home price by today's gold price, the result is closer to 370 to 400 ounces of gold. That's a dramatic shift. Despite the much higher dollar price, it actually takes significantly fewer ounces of gold to buy a detached home today than it did in the year 2000, and fewer than it did in the early 1970s. This is the core insight. Housing didn't become exponentially more valuable in real terms. The currency used to measure it lost purchasing power. If you change the ruler, the measurement changes, not the object. This is why looking at housing prices only in Canadian dollars creates such emotional reactions. You're watching the number grow without accounting for the fact that the unit itself is shrinking. And that leads people to believe the asset has run away from them, when in reality, a large part of that change is happening in money itself. Now, this doesn't mean Vancouver real estate is cheap. It isn't. It also doesn't mean prices can't fluctuate or correct in the short term. They can. What it does mean is that the long-term story is far more nuanced than housing just got insanely expensive. And this perspective matters when you're thinking about decisions that play out over decades, not months. If inflation and currency debasement continue, which historically they tend to, then the number of dollars required to buy the same real asset in the future will likely be higher, even if the asset itself doesn't change much in real terms. You'll need to earn more nominal income to access the same home, and that's why comparing housing to gold is useful. It helps separate real value from nominal price. This is also where timing gets misunderstood. People often wait for prices to feel comfortable in dollar terms, but comfort usually comes after markets have already moved. By the time prices feel stable or safe, a large portion of the adjustment has already happened. That's not because people are irrational, it's because humans react to numbers, not purchasing power. Buying real estate isn't about winning a short-term timing contest. You don't buy real estate to beat the market. You buy real estate to step out of the slow erosion of purchasing power over time. When you're buying a home, you're converting currency which loses value into a real asset. In a supply-constrained city like Vancouver, that matters more than in most places. Detached homes in particular have fixed land supply, high replacement costs, and long-term demand that doesn't disappear just because prices fluctuate. This is why when you extend the timeline far enough, the short-term drops people fixate on tend to look small relative to the broader arc. They don't define the story, they punctuate it. And when you look at Vancouver housing through a gold-based lens, you're reminded that value is relative to money, relative to time, relative to what you're giving up to own something real. This doesn't mean everyone should buy tomorrow. It means people should understand what they're actually measuring when they say something is expensive. Once you separate nominal price from real value, the noise fades, the panic fades, and decision-making becomes calmer and more disciplined. And that's a perspective most people never get. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it.